got me thinking about how we're wired as individuals for attention and focus and how that's used against us on a regular basis. If you think about it and we go take it back, hundreds of years ago when we were in survival mode, which we aren't necessarily in as much today. We live in a time of attention capitalization. People trying to capitalize on your attention and steal your attention and focus. And I think it's so easy as people to start to view the world only through that lens because that's what we're being fed on a constant daily basis. Well, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Today, we're going to keep it kind of short, but going to hop on to a solo episode. And this one, I also wrote an email about. You can join my weekly newsletter, email, whatever you want to call it. Every Monday comes out and straight to your inbox. And just discussing different things I've noticed throughout the week, different life lessons, and hopefully ideas, methods, strategies, systems to hopefully implement into your life and make your life a little bit better and a little bit easier. Help you dissect different problems that you're going through or interactions that you're having at the very least. This last week, I was actually at a fair. I've been out of town quite a bit the last couple of weeks. And this one in Idaho is like one of those typical county fairs and rodeos. A lot of fun. Been going to them for a long time. And this one in particular, I can't remember what it was. It was probably like the third or fourth night of the rodeo. And they had a band coming in and playing. Not my favorite type of music. They were a Beach Boys cover band. But nonetheless, they were good. They did a good job. And I just thought it was funny because we were all sitting in this big arena, one of those rodeo arenas where you have the dirt and the bigger stands that everybody's sitting in. And it's a pretty full arena. There's probably a good 250, 300 people sitting in this arena watching this cover band play. And like I said, I've been to this fair, this specific fair and rodeo multiple times. Off in the distance, somehow a fire had caught in the valley, kind of a valley of the mountain, probably a couple miles off. And there was a lot of smoke starting to kind of billow from the hillside. And as we're seeing in this concert, you could see helicopters flying in. You could see some planes starting to fly in. And in this small town, planes, helicopters, all the above. Not the most common of sights. You don't typically see that in this very remote small town that we were at. And so everybody, and I mean everybody, was watching this fire taking place on the hill. And no, totally don't blame them. I was doing it myself. I was totally watching this fire take place because it was quite interesting. You could see the smoke. You could see different spots on the actual mountainside starting to catch fire. And then a helicopter would come by and dump the water from the bucket. And they had one of those planes that drops I don't know exactly what it is, but the aerosol that helps extinguish the flames. I thought it was interesting as I was thinking about it after. Obviously, everybody did their job. I believe the fire got put out and no one was harmed. No one was harmed in any way. The fire department had it way under control. And what I found interesting, though, was here we were at this concert for, this Beach Boy cover band. Once again, not my style of music, wasn't my favorite, but I think a lot of people were enjoying it. They did a great job. But we're seeing this concert that everybody had paid to attend. We had paid money to attend this concert and be a part of this event. And it was a lot of fun. It was a good time. And yet, even though all of us were in this arena watching this concert, and that was what our focus should have been on, all of our focus was focused on the fire on the hill and watching, the helicopters, the planes, everything going on there. And it got me thinking, while it wasn't a bad thing to be watching the fire, I was doing it, everybody was doing it. It got me thinking about how we're wired as individuals for attention and focus and how that's used against us on a regular basis. If you think about it and we go take it back, hundreds of years ago when we were in survival mode, which we aren't necessarily in as much today. We're not having to hunt for food. We're not having to, go out and gather. We're not being chased by wild animals. For the most part, we live comfortable lives. We have homes. We have heating, cooling. We have, hot water, cold water. We have the amenities of lives. We can get on our phone and order a meal that will be dropped off by, somebody or even a robot at this point. And we just have so many conveniences. So survival really isn't the thing that we're focused on a daily basis. Maybe you're trying to survive financially. Maybe you're trying to provide, but we're not really surviving like our ancient ancestors did. But if you take it back, our ability to be wired on the biggest threat, our ability to be focused on what is the current danger is very, very much innate to our ancient civilization, our roots of where we evolved from. And so it makes sense that as we are sitting in this event at this rodeo and there's a fire taking place, a literal fire up on the hill, that's what our attention is drawn to. We're drawn to the most surprising, the most, dangerous, the most, exhilarating thing, the thing that's going to be the most outrageous, I guess is the best way to put it. And you hear that often when we have conversations about social media or news or entertainment about outrage culture, and how basically the most outrageous thing or the most crazy thing on the internet or the news is what's going to draw the views and attention. And that's what we really live in. We live in a time of attention capitalization. People trying to capitalize on your attention and steal your attention and focus. And I think it's so easy as people to start to view the world only through that lens, because that's what we're being fed on a constant daily basis. And I think that's why when you hear people talk about getting off of social media, removing their phone, the people who go hardcore and they just have a flip phone, or they don't watch the news anymore, you hear them actually say they're quite a bit happier and they feel a lot more content, and they feel like their stress and anxiety levels drop significantly. And it would make sense, because what is happening is we're being driven towards the most outrageous, crazy things in the world, because that's what draws attention. And when people have our attention, that's how they make money. And that's how people, control our focus. And so I think we have to be very mindful of that, because it can quickly warp our reality and our perception of what's real and what's not real. I see so many people, myself included, when you start to feel like everything around you is negative, everything around you is bad, that the world is falling apart. If you think back to people 50 years ago, I was just telling a friend this, my grandparents, they did the best with what they could and what they knew, but they didn't have the internet. They didn't have phones. They knew what was in their direct circle. So if they lived in a small town, if they lived in a small community, they knew about the jobs in that local community. They knew about the people in that local community. Now we have so many options. We have so much knowledge and information that we're able to tap into. If I lived 50 years ago, maybe all I knew was becoming the local mechanic or becoming a farmer or whatever was available in the town. Maybe I didn't know any better. I didn't know about being a lawyer. I didn't know about getting into technology unless I was surrounded by it, because I didn't have access to that information. And same goes with relationships. You knew who were in your circle. You knew the people in your community. But now we have access to dating apps. I can find someone across the world. I can find somebody, in the next town over. And so the pool of options has been expanded a bunch. And it's super great. I think it's one of the best things that could have happened. We were able to advance and know and have access to so much information. But when you have access to so much information, it can also be of a bit of a detriment. It can harm you, because one, too many options is not always the best thing, because now you have to select from so many options. It can almost be paralyzing, because you don't know what the best pick is. Whereas before, if you only had so many limited options, you picked one, moved forward with it, and if that wasn't the right choice, you could either go back or you gain some new information, and now you have new options to pick from. Now we have so many to start off the bat, you almost don't have the experience to know what to do or what to pick. And that's where people get so stuck, is because they don't want to make the wrong choice, but they have too many choices to pick from without the experience to know what to pick. And then beyond that, because we have so much information, it's so easy to lose focus and lose track of what we're actually trying to accomplish, because we're constantly bombarded by things that frankly have nothing to do with us, but are super intriguing. Why would I want to do my work when I can see information about a war that's taking place in the Middle East, right? 50 years ago, I wouldn't have known about that until maybe it showed up in the local newspaper. And even then, it was like very sparse information, headline, a little bit of detail, but it's already passed. It's moved on. It's not even relevant to me anymore. Now I feel like I'm right in the action without even being there, right? I can get on YouTube and see clips of what happened 10 minutes ago. And so it's just completely changed our reality and our ability to perceive things. The hard part with that is, because that's what we're constantly bombarded with, we have to protect our focus, but we also have to protect our perception of what good and bad is. Just like in that arena, there were so many good things taking place. And I'm not saying like anybody was really alarmed or upset by the fire. I think more than anything else, people were fascinated by what was taking place. They're fascinated by the big jets coming in to help put out the fire. But more than anything else, when you see a fire, you think it burning down. It's kind of a danger. It's a bad thing. And this one definitely was. But if you look really around us where we were, there were so many good things happening. We had a live music. We were surrounded by community. We were surrounded by good people doing good things, families, friends, having a good time, and just so much positivity. And yet all I could think about, and I think a lot of people there, all they could think about was this burning fire on the hill. And and I think it just paints this picture of how easy it is to start to perceive the world in a negative light, depending on what your focus is. Because what you focus on is what direction your life will take, and it will determine the decisions you make as you move forward. If you are constantly only focused on the negativity, the bad interactions, the wars, the clickbait headlines that are talking about the worst of the worst, even if it's not really that bad, if that's all you're being fed 24/7, and don't even get me started on social media feeds and the algorithm that's just feeding us whatever we look at, that's what you're going to perceive the world as. That's what your new focus is going to be. And so you can imagine how detrimental that can be to your direction and your path and your purpose in life if that's how you view the world, as this negative, evil place. And so I guess the point of this whole podcast, I guess the point of this email that hopefully you guys tune into and subscribe to and listen to more of this is, don't let the noise of the world, don't let the fire on the hill, don't let the clickbait and all this information warp your perception of what reality you're truly living and all the good things that you have in your life. And don't let people and all these outside voices steal your focus from achieving what you really want. Because time moves real fast and you can really lose it quickly if you don't defend your time, attention, and focus. It's so easy to get trapped and get your life focused on the fire on the hill rather than the great environment that you're currently surrounded by. But if you can defend your focus, if you can keep your focus on positivity, on things that actually matter. I'm not saying be delusional. I'm not saying pretend like everything's okay all the time. But if you can realize that you have so much more good in your life than you do bad, and if you can keep a positive focus on the things you're actually trying to achieve, you're going to be so much further in life than the people who allow themselves to get pulled into the industry of attention grabbing and negativity that we see all around us. I hope this helps. I hope you take it seriously and stay positive. Go make it happen. Thanks, everybody.